I have been on the lookout for a extra floofy, oversized, comfy cardigan, and I still haven't found it yet. But in all my research, I did find a lot of amazing cardigans, and I thought I would share them with you today. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty. Welcome back to another one of my pattern videos. I love putting these together so much. How I usually do them is, as I am in the process of finding a pattern or just scrolling around on Instagram, I am saving patterns throughout the year for whatever might be the next season coming up. So ironically, it is pretty warm here today in Maryland, where I currently am. I'm wearing a tank top and shorts, but I am already thinking about what I might want to be wearing when the weather gets colder. I have 10 amazing cardigan patterns for you today, and for the very first time, I actually ended up with a 50-50 split of knit and crochet patterns. My requirements for patterns for this video: 1, they have to be a cardigan, so they open in the front, and all of these are also long sleeve. 2, they must be size inclusive. For me, that means that they must fit to a minimum of a 60-inch bust with the intended positive or negative ease. And then finally, all of these patterns must be available in English. I think for today, all of our patterns are written in English too, but they might also be available in other languages. Now that we have the basics covered, let's get into our first pattern. First up, we have the Doña Cardigan by Maria Colarte. This one came out in February of 2024 and retails for 13 Australian dollars or about $9 US. We are starting out with a crochet pattern. I really love this one. It actually looks like knitting and it is intended to, but first let's talk about the fit. So it is made to fit sizes 28 to 62 inch bust. So not final measurements, but to fit. And it also is made out of Aran weight yarn. They use Drops Air, which is an interesting combination of alpaca, nylon, and merino. Now, what I really love about this pattern is it is a crochet pattern designed to look like a knitted garment, and it is done with standard crochet. It's actually knit side to side in one panel, which I think is really cool. I have not admittedly made a lot of crochet garments, but this one sounds like a really fun one to do. And then it's also designed to look like a classic raglan, like raglan increases, and that is all done with short rows. All in all, I feel like this is a very cozy, comfy looking cardigan. It almost looks to me like a brioche or a half fisherman's rib in knitting, but again, it's all totally crochet. I've never made anything from this designer before, but I really like their style. So if you haven't seen this one before, go check it out. I would love to see some people working on this pattern. Next up is the Corran Cardigan by Rebecca Clow. This one came out in April of 2023 and it retails for £7 or about $9.57 US. This one has a finished bust of about 34 inches to 64 inches with the intended ease of about 3/4 of an inch to 3.75 inches of positive ease. This design is written with centimeters and inches so that you can see both of those included in the description, which I love so much. This pattern is worsted weight, sort of. It's listed as worsted weight, but the designer says their testers actually used DK worsted or Aran weight, and it all worked out great. So the pattern itself is something I would think of as more of maybe a springtime cardigan piece. It could also be good transitioning from summer to fall because it's got this beautiful all over lace. It's knit from the bottom up, and there are 2 different necklines. There's a V-neck and a round neck, which I love. Rebecca has so many different choices in her patterns. I actually had to try so hard not to include 3 of her patterns in this list today. I have 2 of them. There's another one coming. But I just think she does such a good job with including options in there. There's also 2 different sleeve lengths. So you'll see some of the designs are done, or some of the samples are done in short sleeves. Some of them are done in long sleeves. They're both really beautiful. So back to the yarn. You can use a DK, a worsted, an Aran weight. All of those things work. Her testers also used wool, cotton, silk, or linen. So basically, it's a very versatile cardigan and a great seasonal transition piece. We have another crochet pattern here. This is the Magnus Cardigan by Megan Balmer. It came out in October of 2023 and retails for $5 US. I freaking love this cardigan. When it came out on Instagram, I was obsessed. I wanted to go run and make it right away. And of course, it came out in October, which is always a busy knitting time from October to December. There's all this make-along stuff going on and getting ready for Rhinebeck and getting ready for Advent. So needless to say, I didn't make it, but this is still on my to make list. Let's talk sizing. Sizes 28 to a 62-inch bust to fit. It's also made out of Aran weight, Lion Brand Wool Ease, and Lion Brand Scarfy Light, which I believe is that fun colored one that you see in here that I feel like really makes it. This cardigan, I just think is a really cool style. It's got an open front, it's got pockets, and then just the all over texture design. I have zero clue how it's done because I've never done a technique like this in crochet, but it looks really, really fun to do. There is also a kids version of this cardigan that more recently came out called the Mini Magnus, if you want to make one for yourself and a matching one for somebody else, a kid, your daughter, anyone who is smaller. Number 4 is Cottage by Jacqueline Sazlak. This one came out in April of 2022 and retails for $9 US. I have knitted not a couple of patterns, sorry, that's a total lie. I've knitted one pattern from Jacqueline Sazlak before, and their patterns are so well written. I have had this one in kind of my favorites queue for a little while now. I feel like it's just the perfect kind of classic lightweight cardigan. I honestly kind of think of it as a work cardigan. It's something that would be appropriate, I feel like, to throw on over a nice shell or a blouse or something, but then also it's casual enough that you could just throw it on. It's kind of oversized. Let's talk sizing, actually, speaking of that. There is a finished bust size of 38 to 70 inches with the intended positive ease of 6 to 10 inches. But I feel like in Jackie's patterns, there's always so much customization you can do. There's a lot of really good notes on how to pick the right size for yourself. So I really like these patterns. And I also find that they advertise them a lot as very much gender neutral. So it's not just for women or just for men, it's for anybody. So this is a throw over anything relaxed fit cardigan. That's how it's described. It's worked entirely from the top down in one piece. And something really nice about it is that the button band is done as you go. So you don't have to come back around and pick up all of those stitches later on. I think that's a really nice feature. Aside from it just being a beautiful, classic looking piece, it's also very nice to make when you don't have to do all of those extra things. There are 9 different sizes included, and an optional adjustment for adjusting your sleeve length. If you like color, this is a really fun option. This is the Leith Cardigan by Rebecca Clow. It came out in September of 2023 and retails for £7 or about $9.57 US. Now, I said I wasn't going to have more than 2 patterns from Rebecca Clow on here. And the wild thing is I actually haven't knit any of their patterns yet. I really need to. And I feel like this one is kind of top of the list for me because it just looks like way too much fun. So it's again listed as a worsted weight. However, it says in the description you can use DK all the way up to Aran weight. You can play around with that. But the other fun thing about this pattern is playing with color and also playing with texture. So there's a couple different striping options that you can see on here, and it's done with intarsia. So half of the main part of it, fronts and backs, can be totally different stripes, totally different colors. There's a lot of different ways that the people who have knitted, the test knitters and people who have knitted since, have done different things with it, which is really fun. But one I wanted to point out is this cream colored cardigan. It is done with 2 different yarns. So one is a boucle and then one is just a more classic, a smoother yarn. And I think there's just a play of texture is perfect for somebody who maybe doesn't want to play with color. It's really subtle, but the effect is still just as beautiful. Seems like I forgot to say the size for this one. So the finished size is 33.5 inches to 65 inches with a positive ease of 1 to 4 inches. We are back to crochet with the Kitzbuhel Cardigan by Nomad Stitches. This one came out in October of 2020. It retails for £8 or about $10.94 US. This one has a size of 29 to 61 inches with positive or negative ease of about 2 inches. This one's really cool. It's done out of fingering weight. The designer used Lobby Anime Cashmerino, which is super luxurious, but I have to tell you about the inspiration behind the name. And I know I may not be saying the name exactly accurate for the location, but this is the American pronunciation that I looked up. So feel free to correct me. I'm always happy to receive those corrections, especially with how to say a name. But Kitzbuhel is a small alpine town in the middle of the Austrian Alps known for skiing and mountain scenery. This comes directly from the Ravelry description from the designer. During the spring, when the snow is almost gone from the mountains and the sun sets, the snow glows in many colors against the dark forest and lights the town with a twinkle in the air. It's truly a magical sight and the inspiration behind the cardigan. There is a cardigan version and also a pullover version of this if you're not a cardigan person. This is entirely standard mosaic crochet in 2 different colors. The designer picked a really beautiful soft pink and then a neutral color, but I feel like it would be really fun in a higher contrast as well. This is something that I don't even remember how I came across it, what I was looking for when I found this one, but I feel like if something is gonna pull me into crocheting garments, like this is going to be it, because I feel like this is so unique. It looks like such a fun texture. It looks like such a fun pattern. I really like this designer, Nomad Stitches. She's a really great person. So if you haven't seen some of her other designs, I would highly recommend checking her out. This is Jethro by Tanis Lavelli. It is a knit and crochet cardigan pattern. It came out in March of 2024 and it retails for $9 US. I know I included this pattern in my last video, which was all about pullover sweaters, but it really wasn't supposed to be in there because this is a cardigan and I just couldn't make a cardigan video without including it. So this pattern is really neat because it includes both knitting and crochet, which is really fun, especially if you do both. If you are not both a knitter and crocheter, of course, this is going to provide a little bit of a challenge. I feel like this is a great pattern actually for people who are comfortable knitting and want to improve their crochet. The crochet part is granny squares, which can be a little bit tricky, but for the most part, I think relatively easy. It's not having to learn a whole new garment construction because the squares can be done basically alone. I actually am saying that kind of not really knowing exactly how the pattern works up, but I'm pretty sure you make all the granny squares and then put them together and then knit the sleeve. So I feel like this would be a good way for people who are on the edge of either craft to kind of merge those together and build that confidence. So the Jethro cardigan is all over granny squares in the front and the back, and then the sleeves and the button bands and the bottom are all knitted. So stockinette and ribbing. So still pretty simple stitches for knitting as well. A little bit trickier, I think, with the knitting part because you have to pick up stitches and all of that. Like even people who solely knit don't enjoy always doing those things. I think this is really cool. This is definitely something on my future to make list. I don't know. I'm kind of imagining pinks, of course, pinks and maybe cream for the main color. So maybe later down the line. This is a DK weight project. They use Tanis Fiber Arts Pure Wash DK, and it comes in sizes of a finished chest of 34.5 inches to 78.75 inches. And I have the ease somewhere here, 12 to 17 inches of positive ease. So definitely a big, cozy, oversized cardigan. We saw a crochet pattern with mosaic already, so how about a knitted one? This is Pressed Flowers by Amy Christophers. It came out in October of 2022 and retails for $7 US. There's a really good chance you've already seen this pattern or maybe one of its companions. I know that there's a shawl, I think there might be a hat, like other accessories that also have this incredible stitch pattern in it. It's so beautiful and it is done with mosaic knitting. It's all these little flowers and then kind of like window panes throughout. The sizes for this cardigan are 37 inches to 74 inches with the intended positive ease of 6 inches or the designer says you can go even a little bit bigger if you like. It's done out of sport weight, spin cycle dyed in the wool, and spin cycle wilder, though I've also seen it done with 2 solid colors, and it looks just as beautiful. It's an easy to wear, relaxed V-neck cardigan. It's also adjustable by length. So I think it is a little more on the crop side, but you could always add length to it. I believe it's done from the bottom up. Let me check. I think so. It says the body is worked in one piece to the underarm, so that makes me think it's done from the bottom up. It looks really, really fun. I don't know if I'm going to be making this one in the future, but I kind of want to join in because I know so many people have made it, and it always comes out amazing. We've got a bulky cardigan. This is the Cozy Days Daisy by Stephanie Jessica Lau. This one came out in December of 2023, and it is available for $5.50 US or for free on the All About Ami blog. I don't actually know, is it All About Ami? All About Ami? It's amigurumi, so All About Ami, I think. This person has so many cute patterns, and this cardigan really stood out to me. I don't know, for me it feels very like cottage core, or kind of reminds me of like Taylor Swift or something. It's just very dreamy, very whimsical, especially in these pink and white and was it yellow? Hold on, I gotta look at the picture again. Yeah, like pink and white and gold colors looking like a daisy. But of course you could make this in any colors that you want and it would have a totally different effect. As far as sizing for this one, it is to fit an actual bust of 32 inches up to 62 inches. The intended positive ease is about 8 to 10 inches. I had to do a little bit of digging, but in her blog post, she goes into detail about which sizes have 10 inches of positive ease and which ones have about 8 inches of positive ease. So it wasn't hard to find. I just had to kind of like click through a couple things. It wasn't in the Ravelry description, but you can find it for free before purchasing the pattern, which I appreciated. This is done with a bulky yarn, Lion brand Hue Plus Me. I haven't heard of that one, but it looks really fun and it looks very soft. Just all in all, I think this cardigan is just, I don't know, it feels like, I've already said Taylor Swift, I've already said cottagecore, but I feel like it's like a festival cardigan. Like you could definitely wear this out to Rhinebeck. You could definitely wear this to a music festival. You could wear this like walking around a cozy beach town. I just think it's really cute and I had to include it in my list. Last one here for today is the Winter's Beach Cardi by Andrea Mowry. This one came out in January of 2021 and it retails for $9 US. It has a finished bust of 39.5 to 69.75 with the intended positive ease of 6 to 10 inches. It is done in a DK weight. The designer uses hedgehog fibers, Tweedy, and I love this cardigan. I've actually had this one on my list for a while. I almost had yarn for it at one point because I was looking at the Tweedy yarn. It's really, really great. But I just ended up not making it. But I kind of still want to. I know this is a little bit of an older pattern. It's only 3 years old, but I'm still seeing people wear it a ton, seeing people make it a ton. It is all over different cables and combined with that Tweedy yarn. I guess you could do tweed or not. It just looks like a really fun one. It's boxy, a little bit cropped, oversized, pockets, right? I think it has pockets. Yes, pockets in the front. It just looks cozy and comfy, fun to make and fun to wear. What more could you want? If you have a cardigan pattern, knit or crochet that you have really enjoyed making, or maybe one that you want to make, definitely leave it down below. Leave the name, leave the designer, leave a link if you can. Let's make this a really awesome resource for all of our crafting friends all across the internet so that we can have a place to go and get inspiration. That's why I spend a lot of time looking through Ravelry and looking through Instagram, because I want to be inspired. I want to see what other people are making. I always love looking through project pages when I'm looking at patterns on Ravelry. I like scrolling through the hashtag on Instagram when I see somebody make a pattern that I really like and seeing different ways to make it. So the more we share, the more we have to like get inspired by. So share away. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.